In the stillness of a quiet autumn evening in October 2024, Clara sat in her cozy living room, the soft glow of candlelight casting long shadows across the walls. Outside, the golden leaves of the trees whispered in the wind, and the cool breeze carried a sense of mystery. Clara had always been intrigued by the power of numbers, their hidden meanings, and their potential to influence the path of life. She believed that numbers held a deeper significance beyond their mathematical value, an energy, a force that could shape destinies. That October, 6 lucky numbers seemed to surface in her life, each carrying its own message and importance. Clara had been reflecting on her life, wondering if she was on the right path. The past year had been filled with challenges, career setbacks, personal doubts, and uncertainty about the future. Her love for numerology, a practice she had dabbled in since she was a teenager, was something she had always turned to during times of confusion. But now, she was ready to take it seriously. She felt like the universe was speaking to her, sending her signs through numbers, urging her to pay attention. One crisp morning, she decided to visit an old friend, a wise spiritual mentor named Mrs. Hargrove, who had always been able to interpret numbers and their meanings with remarkable insight. Mrs. Hargrove lived in a small, sunlit cottage on the outskirts of town, surrounded by a lush garden teeming with life. As Clara approached the house, she noticed how peaceful and welcoming it felt, like stepping into a world separate from the hustle and bustle of her own life. Mrs. Hargrove welcomed Clara with a warm smile, her silver hair tied back in a neat bun. After exchanging pleasantries, they sat in the living room, where a delicate smell of herbal tea filled the air. Clara shared her feelings of uncertainty, her longing for clarity, and her belief that numbers could guide her through this foggy period of her life. "You're not wrong, Clara," Mrs. Hargrove said, her voice soft yet firm. "Numbers are powerful symbols, and they often appear in our lives when we need them most. Let me tell you about 6 numbers you should focus on this month. They hold the energy of October 2024 and could bring you the clarity you're seeking." Clara leaned in, eager to learn more. 1. Number 3, the energy of creation and expansion. 3 is a number of creativity, growth, and manifestation, Mrs. Hargrove began. It represents the mind, body, and spirit working together in harmony. This October, you may find that your creative energy is at its peak. Whether it's in your career, personal projects, or relationships, focus on bringing new ideas to life. Don't be afraid to experiment or take risks, especially in areas where you've been hesitant. Clara thought about her career. She had been contemplating starting her own freelance business but had always been too scared to take the leap. Mrs. Hargrove's words struck a chord. Was this the universe telling her it was time to create something new? Remember. Mrs. Hargrove added, 3 is about expansion. You may need to step outside your comfort zone to truly grow. 2. Number 5, the force of change and freedom. 5 represents change, adventure, and freedom, Mrs. Hargrove continued. It's a number that encourages movement and breaking free from routines that no longer serve you. This October, you might face unexpected changes, some will be challenging, others exciting. But in either case, they will open new doors for you. Clara nodded. She had been feeling stagnant lately, like she was stuck in a rut. The idea of embracing change, even if it was uncomfortable, felt liberating. You have to trust the process, Clara. Change is necessary for growth. Don't resist it. 3. Number 8, the power of abundance and achievement. 8 is the number of abundance, success, and material gain, Mrs. Hargrove said, her eyes gleaming. This number carries the energy of financial prosperity and career achievements. If you've been working hard towards a goal, you may start to see the fruits of your labor this month. But remember, 8 also teaches us the importance of balance. As you strive for success, make sure you don't neglect other areas of your life. Clara felt a surge of hope. She had been tirelessly working towards a promotion at her current job. And it was reassuring to hear that her efforts might finally pay off. Be mindful of how you manage your time and energy, Mrs. Hargrove cautioned. Success is not just about material wealth, it's about achieving balance in all aspects of life. 4. Number 9. The wisdom of completion and letting go. 9 symbolizes the end of a cycle, the completion of something that no longer serves you, Mrs. Hargrove explained. It's a time for reflection, forgiveness, and letting go of old patterns. October could be a month where you find yourself releasing things that have been weighing you down, whether it's a toxic relationship, a limiting belief, or even a physical possession. Clara felt a lump in her throat as she thought about a friendship that had been deteriorating for years. It was a painful realization, but perhaps it was time to move on. 9 teaches us that endings are necessary for new beginnings. Letting go isn't easy, but it clears the way for better things to come. 5. Number 11. The spiritual awakening. 11 is a master number, Mrs. Hargrove said, her tone shifting to one of reverence. It's a symbol of spiritual awakening, intuition, and enlightenment. This month, you might find yourself drawn to spiritual practices or philosophies that help you connect with your higher self. Pay attention to your dreams, your intuition, and the subtle signs the universe is sending you. Clara had always felt a strong connection to her intuition, but in recent months, she had pushed it aside in favor of logic and practicality. Hearing Mrs. Hargrove speak about the power of 11 reignited her desire to reconnect with her spiritual side. This is a time for inner growth, Mrs. Hargrove continued. Trust your instincts, and don't be afraid to explore new spiritual paths. 6. Number 22, the Master Builder. Finally, we have 22, another master number. Mrs. Hargrove said, her eyes twinkling. This number is all about building foundations for long-term success. It's a time to take practical steps toward your goals, especially those that seem too big or overwhelming. The energy of 22 gives you the discipline and focus you need to turn your dreams into reality. Clara felt a sense of determination wash over her. She had always been a dreamer, but she often struggled with follow-through. The number 22 reminded her that while dreaming was important, action was necessary to manifest those dreams. As Clara left Mrs. Hargrove's cottage that day, the 6 numbers echoed in her mind: 3, 5, 8, 9, 11, and 22. Each carried a message that resonated deeply with her current life situation. She felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that these numbers would guide her through the challenges and opportunities of October 2024. It was as if the universe had given her a roadmap, a set of lucky numbers to focus on as she navigated the next chapter of her life. And as she walked through the golden leaves, Clara knew that she was ready to embrace the changes, the growth, and the spiritual awakening that awaited her.